make the strings.
What's up, guys? We're starting a new project today, and it's one that's been sitting around for a while. And there's been one guy in the comment section for probably the last 4 years that's commented on every single one of my videos, no matter what. And I seen him. I seen him every single time. I seen the comments, and I knew. And in the back of my mind, the back of my head, I needed to do it, and I just kept pushing it back. And I think it might be finally time to get this thing running. So this thing right here is my 2002 Ford E350 Econoline 15-passenger van. Actually has a Quigley 4-wheel drive setup on it, and it also has the legendary 7.3 liter Powerstroke Turbo diesel that makes about 200 horsepower. And so since I got rid of Big Dirty, I haven't really cared a whole lot about the 7.3s, just because, you know, I got that 6.7, about that 6.7 life now. But you can see I found the key. It was in the drawer. 4x4 van. So we're gonna open this guy up. It's been a while, and I actually got a 2008 front end conversion for it too, but we're not talking about that. What we're gonna try to do today is actually see if this thing will freaking start. And how many miles have it? 201,000 miles. So we're gonna put the key in it. We actually drove it here. So where I bought it, we drove it about 3 hours here. Look at that. Turn the key. Nothing happens. So let's see what we can get figured out on this guy. Seems like fiberglass. Yeah. Me and Ty wore the same shirt today. We did. Also, if you guys are interested in the Trevi's custom shirt, MotionAutoTv.com. You can't do it?
There's like not a little lever, homie.
Is it your first time?
Mm-hmm. There's like a cover thing in the way.
Oh, let me get this on. Here you go.
There's like a plastic thing.
Oh, check this out.
Oh, it's down there. Yeah, see? I was all trying to get like up in this little hole and this thing.
Oh man, did my glove deteriorate? That might not be good. So like 3 years ago, when I put this thing out to pasture right here, I put a rubber glove on the intake right there.
But it doesn't matter.
It's not on there anymore. Well, we're gonna see if it starts. It needs a new battery. Look at that battery. Think that's a good battery?
I think it looks tiny for a Powerstroke. It is tiny for a Powerstroke. It doesn't fit.
2012.
That's probably a new one. I mean, you probably bought this battery when you went and bought this thing.
No, I didn't.
And put it in it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
No.
You took this out of one of your Hondas.
I took this out of a car.
Yeah.
So I bought this thing right after I got the Evo done. So if you guys have been around since the Evo days, I bought it right after the Evo because I drove the Evo to go get it. And then my brother drove this back, and then we had an issue where it stopped on the way home and it quit running. But we're gonna see if we can get it running. Otherwise, I have an engine.
First time in 5 years.
I don't know if it's been 5 years.
No, it's been probably 5 years.
It hasn't been.
At least
We're
4.
gonna have to go back. We'll get you an exact date.
Everybody stop and put your comments in the comments of how long you think it's been
Put
sitting
your
there.
guess. If we can get this video to get 100,000 likes, we'll put 40s under it.
100,000 likes, we'll put 40s?
100,000 likes, we'll put 40s under it.
That's a lot of likes, Trev. That's a lot. I'd say like 50.
Well, I mean, maybe
50,000 likes.
That's a lot of work, so it deserves it.
It's not a lot of work. Maybe just put coils on it in 40s. Well.
So we got this thing all pushed in the shop. I aired up the tires. Front ones were like 20. The rears were like 14 pounds. So I mean, they've been sitting there for I don't even know how many years. And the reason that it wouldn't turn, it's not because I didn't go, it's not because I skipped leg day. It's because when we initially lifted it up, it bent this little steering shaft. So I went ahead and buzzed that off real quick just so we can move it around. Filled up the tires to like 80 pounds because they're low range E tires. But what's crazy is how long this thing sat outside. You can see the stuff that actually got acquired underneath it. So you can see all these tumbleweeds. But then you can actually see this. So I'd say that's a good inch of seep that it actually sunk into the ground. And the funny thing is about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was actually right here and we moved it forward so we could actually have a little bit more space right here to put this sob. So I'm gonna clean this stuff up right here just so we don't run over any nails or any crap that might be in there. Then we could actually pull up and park next to the door. So first order of business to try to get this thing to start is new batteries. So these ones have been in there for I don't even know how long. There's no point in trying to charge them or do anything like that. We're just gonna yank probably just take some of my cores, go get some new batteries, come back, throw them in, and see if this thing will crank over, and see if we could get a start on starting fluid or something else like that. And if we can't get it to start, which I'll explain after we see, I have another 7.3 engine sitting over there that I got out of a truck from the auction a couple years ago, and it's been sitting in the back corner of the shop. Man, this thing is huge. Like, that's
massive.
I didn't realize how big it was until you actually pull it in here and you look at it compared to the Civic.
Yeah, could be my new house, bud.
Look at it compared to the. That
could be my new apartment.
I mean, it really could. We could just build out the whole inside, and then you could just park it right where it was, and you could just live in there, live at the shop. You could be like the caretaker. So ran to the auto parts store, got 2 new batteries. This looks exactly like that commercial on YouTube, right? Well, I watched the commercial and it was literally the same exact batteries. Like, so maybe that was.
They saw you coming. They saw your search history.
They're
watching your search history.
We're gonna freaking all right. Pop the hood, Ty. Let's see. And then so since it is a diesel, there is 2 batteries. I'm not sure if like a V10 one has 2 batteries or not. But the other battery, so there's a battery right here. The other one, I believe, is right there. So that's gonna be fun. I mean, it's probably not gonna be the worst thing to pull it out, but it's not gonna be the greatest either. But maybe this thing will actually crank and give us some good readings, and then we could spritz some starting. Do we have plenty of starting fluid?
I don't know if I have any.
We should have some, but let's get the batteries changed and we'll figure it out. Alright, so we're pulling off the doghouse in here. That's what they call these things, because it's kind of like the doghouse, I guess. So you pull off that little front piece. So you get a little
Just throw it in the back there.
oh man, there's plenty of things in the back. But yeah, then you can pull this guy off and get it out of the way. Here, let's throw this thing over there. Okay. And this, my friends, is the legendary 7.3 Powerstroke. Look at that. Look at all that oil. It's self-leaking. Maybe there won't be as many. That nice little heat shield right there. I'm gonna pull off this intake because there was a bunch of dirt that kind of got in there. Can you hand me that flathead down there, please? So pull off the intake, and we're gonna see if this old oil freaking.
Will it start?
Crank up. Will it start? That's gonna be the title of this video. Eventually, it's gonna start no matter what, but I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know if today is that day. But we're gonna figure it out. Should we do it right now? I mean, key on. Service center. Oh, it says wait to start. So we might have to wait to start.
them glow plugs. They haven't been started in.
We got a lot of
4
voltage
years.
though, so that's really good.
Yeah. Is that the oil pump?
Sounds like the fuel pump. What if it just has a bad fuel pump? What if that's a...
It does sound weird.
It's got a half tank of fuel. 5-year-old fuel.
5-year-old diesel. Diesel's good though. Diesel's fine.
Should we see?
Try.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it has like.
Well, you hear
Probably,
that?
yeah.
You hear that hump? That.
It's like not building compression, or.
That means that like probably one cylinder has low compression. So when we initially bought this thing and drove it here, it had a bunch of blow by. Like when you'd pull off the oil cap, it'd go pop 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 pop, pop, like a little like choo choo train out of like one cylinder. That which means that probably one cylinder has low compression, and so yeah, and then we basically were just driving it, and then it turned off, and then it didn't start again. So I think you know, something along those lines. But I mean, you'd assume that maybe it would start on starting fluid, even if it was low on one compression, or maybe it was just mad. But let's see what it does again.
Need some ether.
I can see if
Some ether, bud.
we got some ether. All right. So when this thing shut off on us, we were never able to get it started again. And one of the things that is common with these 7.3s is the crank position sensor. So looking at the live data on this little scanner that I have here, it doesn't have any RPM that it's showing. It doesn't have any fuel pressure that it's showing. It's not showing a fuel pulse width. It's showing the ICP voltage, the ICP pressure, and then the IPR. So the duty cycle for the IPR at 14% is basically 0, and at 85% is basically wide open, like fully closed, which means that it's trying to build pressure. So it doesn't even look like it's trying to command that. And it's also for the engine load. Normally, like when you crank these things, the engine load goes up a little bit. And I'm not sure why it has a little question mark right there. But watch, I'll go ahead and crank this, and you'll see the ICP pressure goes up just a little bit, but it only goes to about 50. And I think these things need at least, like, it's either 200 or 500 to start. So yeah, you see it barely went up to 40. So now it's kind of weird that it doesn't have an engine RPM, because RPM, that's the crank position. So if, all right, so it actually wasn't plugged in, because I think I knew I put a new one on this, and then I had another 7.3 that I was working on, so I like just robbed it off it. So let's see if it gets an RPM signal. So now the RPM went up to 150. So which is good. So we actually have an RPM signal now. But the ICP still isn't going up at all. So you can see the ICP, the IPR valve was actually demanding 68%, and it was only giving it like 60 pounds of oil pressure, which again, I think these things need to be at like, I think it's like 500 ICP pressure in order to start it all, because it uses the oil as a hydraulic fluid to push the piston down to squirt the fuel in the cylinder. So
Didn't we have to change the one on Big Dirty? Didn't we change the
ICP or the IPR?
The IPR when we did that?
So the IPR is a regulator, so it basically either fully closes to let all the oil pressure go to the injectors, or it opens and lets it bypass and basically regulates it, just kind of like a fuel pressure regulator, but it's electronic. It's a little solenoid. The other thing is maybe it doesn't have enough oil in it. Maybe it ran low on oil or something, so it's not even picking up any oil. So that could be another thing, so I'm going to double check that.
That's the gold there.
Premium starting fluid. Let's see what happens.
like ether.
Huh?
Smells like ether.
It ain't going.
It ain't going. She won't pop it off. Maybe needs an IPR.
It probably needs more than an IPR, but it probably
Probably
help.
Yeah.
Do I want to get in it or do I not?
Well, you're gonna like it.
Kind of dusty, but wow.
Yeah, let's close the door.
All aboard the school bus. Wow.
You like that?
It is. It feels like a school bus. I feel like I'm driving a school bus.
You're
Does
gonna
it
fire
start? Does it start?
Oh, crank it. Crank it over. You gotta put it in neutral though. Pull it down into neutral. Just this.
Well, do I have to put my foot on the brake?
No. Well, to pull it in neutral, yeah.
Like,
There you go.
I was looking for,
I give it a crank.
looking for the brake.
Crank it up.
I'm kind of scared. Does it start? Or it just does that?
It doesn't start. So we made a will it start video and it doesn't even start. So I don't know if I should just not just because the engine I think is already a little pooched anyhow. So I don't know if it would be worth it to.
We've got a lot of work to be done on this thing.
Well, this thing. So this is a 15 passenger van. Looking at it has the AC in the top. Look, it's got the little AC.
Yeah.
It's got all that stuff. But I mean,
is there any mice in it?
I mean, there's been a couple, but I mean, we could fill it.
Could fill it full of babies. Huh?
You think? Either that or we could not fill it. But this thing's
we could go on an adventure.
So
Hey, what are you doing in my apartment?
Ty actually wants to move into it. So last night it was funny. I actually had a dream. So yesterday we were watching a bunch of like van life videos, like converting like the insides of these vans into like campers and stuff. And everybody, it seems like they do like a lot smaller ones. And this is obviously this is a big one. It's the extended guy, so you can see it's got all the extra room back there. I think it's like another like 2 feet longer, because normally like you don't have that little extra window. It just kind of cuts off back there. So I'm really curious. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it, because it would be cool to have, you know, be able to take like 15 people with you. Obviously this thing is on 1-ton chassis. It has got the big 8-lug wheels, tires, and it's got the legendary 7.3, which will still tow some stuff. Not as good as a 6.7, but it'll still tow it. So it's like, I don't know if we could just throw all the homies in here and just travel across the country like towing stuff, or we could fill it with babies.
Yeah. Go exploring.
We could go exploring,
You could like tow
or
a camper behind your camper.
or we could turn it. Yeah, we could tow a camper with it. We could do like a 2-car bumper pull trailer. It doesn't actually have a hitch on it, but it has wiring. But you could buy a hitch for these things. But yeah, it has all the interior stuff in there. And so I think, I don't know, we could put an IPR on it and see if it would start. But I know it doesn't run correctly. And when we did buy it, basically had a bunch of puffs coming out of the thing, which means low compression, which we've already talked about that. But I mean, it's a beast. It's huge. Like look at Janie. Look at Janie compared to it.
I've never seen it not in that spot. I don't think anybody has.
I mean, only me. I mean, my brother, he literally drove it like 2.5 hours
Before.
and it ran mediocre. Like it
7 years ago.
it did about 75 miles an hour on the interstate all the way here, but
From where?
it was like Silverthorne or so. It was like up by Blackhawk, the casino. So it was up in the mountains. And when I actually bought it,
What were your intentions? When
it was sick. Like I was working on these vans at the time. I didn't have any scribers, and like these things are worth a lot of money, and I got a reasonable deal on it. So like the plan was just fix and flip, and so, or use it as like a tow rig and go to drift events all across the country and like turn it into like a little thing. But I don't like that it has all the windows, because I think for like turning it into a camper, I guess we could just black them out and then put like wood and insulation on the inside of them. That's an option too. But
you liked it as your security blanket in front of the shop door.
yeah, I liked it in front of the shop door too. I mean, I like just looking at it. It's just kind of a cool looking van. But I think it'd be cool. So again, if you guys didn't see in the back of it, I actually do have the 08 front end conversion, which gives you a little bit more room out front, and you could actually put an intercooler on these, because right now it doesn't have an intercooler. And the only difference between this engine and the truck engine is I think they're detuned a little bit, but it has a bigger exhaust housing on it, just so it could, you know, evacuate some of the hot air out of the engine, let it breathe a little bit better. So when people want to make like more power on trucks, they actually take the van housing, because it's a 1.15 AR instead of like a 0.83 AR that's on a truck. But I'd like to add an intercooler to this thing, turn it up a little bit. You can see we have the hood, we have the fenders, we have the grill, we have the seats. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 seats in this thing. We have the AC in the top. So I think in order to actually get, you know, get this engine out of here and get this whole thing replaced, basically gonna have to pull out a lot of the interior to be able to get to the cab bolts, because underneath this thing, in order to get it out, you have all these body mounts right here, and then you just have to loosen them to get them off. So I think I need to get some PV Blaster, go over there and do that. We were talking about replacing the IPR on it, which the IPR on this 7.3, this is a high pressure pump. It's way down there. So see that little clip right there where the light's shining on? That's where the IPR is. And I don't think that would be a whole lot of fun to do actually in the car or in the van. But I think that's the plan for this thing. I know this was a will it start video, but I guess we answered the question that it will start eventually. So yeah, stay tuned for the next episode of this thing, where this freaking cab is literally just coming off. Jamie, are you excited about that? You excited to see the cab off?
Put it?
Up in the
How
air.
do you do that?
Well, it's gonna go up in the air. We're gonna yank the engine. We're gonna paint the frame.
That's just
gonna
gonna look
ALK it?
like really giant in here.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. It's
Yeah.
probably gonna touch the ceiling. It's gonna be crazy. But it'll be cool. We'll strap it down. We'll be safe. But I really appreciate you guys watching. If you guys did like this video, be sure to hit that little thumbs up button. And let me know what you think about the van life. Should we leave it 15 passenger? Should we keep it to where we could put like 5 passengers in there at least? 6 passengers maybe?
The possibilities are endless.
The possibilities are endless.
So much
I was
risk
gonna go into a ramble,
activities.
but I'm not going to. Save it for next time. I don't want to.
All right, if you want to hear Ty's ramble, tune in for the next video. If your notifications are not turned on, freaking turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one.